Hey, it's Chris here. Welcome to Lesson 5. In the previous lesson, you built the user interface for the war card game, but right now it doesn't do anything. We need to hook up some functionality and logic to the app, which is why we are going to dive into Swift code in this lesson so that we can do that. Now, the start of this Swift coding journey is going to take a couple of lessons to get the initial foundation before we can go back to the war card game and wire it up. So do have a little bit of patience and dig your heels in a little bit, because there will be a little bit of challenge, especially if you've not coded before. But I'm going to walk you through it in simple terms, and we're going to do things together. And I'm confident that you're going to get there, because I've had so many success stories of people going through these 8 days and just feeling like they unlocked a new superpower. All right, let's go ahead. Let's get started. First, let me introduce you to an Xcode playground. It's a place that we can experiment with code without building a full-fledged project. So it's not going to create a project. It's not going to create all those files. It's going to be a single file that we can write some code. We can run it and see what the results are and just experiment with it. And how you create a playground is go to File, New, Playground. Now, don't confuse this with the iPad Playgrounds app, because that's a learning app on the iPad to learn iOS app development done by Apple, whereas Xcode Playgrounds is more of like a code playground where you can experiment with things. So under iOS, let's choose blank and let's create the file. Just put it somewhere. I want you to notice that it's a lot simpler looking than Xcode project, right? Like a full project. I'm actually having a little trouble expanding this right now. There we go. I'll point out a couple of things. So number one is there's still a navigator, okay, but it's just this file. There's still an AI coding assistant panel, which is very useful for learning code. There is also this utility area or inspectors panel. And then down here, there's still a debug panel, which I'm actually going to expand. So you do that by clicking this button here, because we're going to be outputting some results down here. By default, you're going to have this single line of code. You can just ignore the import statement. That's not really relevant to what we're doing right now. Before we dive into what this line of code is, also notice that if you hover your mouse along these line numbers, you'll see this play icon. And that's equivalent to the run icon that is in the full-fledged Xcode project to run your project in the simulator, except this is going to be to run the lines of code. Now, I just hit that run button. If it's the first time, it's going to take a few minutes, just like the iOS simulator. You can see, because I've done it, it's pretty instantaneous. It shows this results panel here, but we're not going to focus on that because I actually find it a little confusing for teaching. We are going to focus on the code editor and the console area, the debug area down here. So to close this results panel, we're going to hit this icon and we're going to just say show editor only. You can always go back, hit show results here, or you can click this icon and show results here. Okay, so let's dive into the code now. I'm going to try to make this as simple as possible. Now, the first thing I want to bring up is that the code that we were writing in the lessons before, that code was to generate the views and the user interface. The code that we are writing now is used to express the logic or the brains behind the app. So this code will be more of taking actions and it does things instead of the Swift UI that was displaying things. So let's start with a simple statement that does something. So we're going to hit enter to start a new line, and we're going to print brackets, and then we are going to put quotations, and we're going to put a piece of text, and then we're going to hit this blue run icon beside that line of text, and you should see something appear down here. Again, if this is the first time you're hitting run, it might take a few minutes for the simulator or whatever's happening behind the scenes to run. You'll see it in the status bar up here, and then you should see the result being output down here. It printed this piece of text down here into the console. Simple enough, right? Let's try something different. What if I say print, open up the brackets again, but this time I put greeting what happens now. Actually, I didn't even have to hit run. It just ran it automatically. But down here, take a look at what happens. This line prints out Chris, and this line prints out hello playground. But I didn't write hello playground, I wrote greeting. Notice when I put my cursor here, it highlights that. So that gives you a clue. Well, let's read this code. This piece of text, hello playground, if greeting equals that, and I print out greeting, I get hello playground. Okay, what if I change this piece of text to hi? What do you think will happen? Well, we're about to find out. Let's go run it. And then we are going to print out Chris as expected. And now when we print greeting, it says hi. So it seems to me like this greeting is referring to whatever piece of text I put here. So let's talk about that. In Swift code, this is called a variable. This var keyword is to declare a new variable. This is the variable name, and it can be whatever name you want. This is how you reference the piece of data. This text is a piece of data, and we're going to talk about what other types of data there are in just a second. For now, we know this is text. This equal sign is what's called an assignment operator. And it's basically assigning this piece of text to this variable. And now whenever we want to recall this piece of text or reference it, we just have to use the variable name as we do here. So what's the point of a variable anyways? Well, it's to keep track of our data. So for example, if we look at our war card game, we need to keep track of the player score and the CPU score, right? So for example, and this might be, instead of greeting, we might say player score. And then we put player score here. Let's see what happens. We can get rid of that. So this outputs a 0 into the console. The thing is, we wouldn't necessarily store the score as a piece of text because you can't do math on a piece of text. So we would probably want to store it as a number, which gets us into different data types. So if I remove the quotes, you can see it's a different color. This is treated as a number. Let's take a brief look at this slide and take a look at the different data types that you can use. So there are definitely more data types than this, but I don't want to overwhelm you. Only want to expose at this point what you need to know. You've seen text data. This type of data is actually called a string. Now, whole numbers, this is called an integer. This is kind of the same as math terminology. Now, for decimal numbers, this data type is called a double. And one last data type I want to mention that's really useful for right now is Boolean. And this is either true or false. So it's only one of these two states. So those are the only data types I want to introduce you to at this point, as to not overwhelm you. So now let's jump back into the playground and try some of this stuff out. So let's declare another variable. Now declare is the word we use when we write this line, var, and then the variable. This is creating a new variable, but declare is the right word to use. So we are going to declare another variable to keep track of the CPU score. And I'm going to assign 0 to it. Now these variables are not very useful unless we can update them and change the number, right? So let's pretend that the player just scored a point and we want to increase the player's score. Well, we've already declared the variable up here in line 3 using the var keyword. We don't need to redeclare it. In fact, if we try to, we are going to get an error. So if you try to do var player score, we want to increase it, right? Want to change it to 1. If you try to do this, it's going to say invalid redeclaration because it's already been declared. Now here's a good instance where I can show you how useful this AI panel is. For example, you could ask it by opening the AI panel and typing it in. Why is this wrong? Can you explain to me what this means? Or you can just hit generate. Well, this actually, you may not. So this will actually fix it. But if you read it, it will actually also explain to you what the issue is. It's errored because it's declared twice. In Swift, you can only declare a variable once. Okay, subsequent changes to its value should use assignment. So let's close this for a second and take a look at what it's done for us here. So in order to change the data in the variable, we don't have to use the var keyword again. All we have to type in is the variable name equals and then the updated value. Also, take a look at this print player score now prints 1 instead of 0. So you can think of this code being executed from top down. First, when we declare it 0, and then here, when we set it to 1, player score is 1, and then we print it out, and that's why it only prints at 1. Now, because I might not always know what the previous score was when I want to increase it by 1, instead of writing the actual number, I can make it dynamic. So player score references the current score, right? So if I want to update player score and increment it by 1, I can say player score is equal to whatever the player score was before plus 1. So this would be 0 plus 1, and it would assign it as the new value for the variable player score. So here you can see that the result is still 1. But what if I do this again? What if I do this twice? Then it increments it by 1 here. This turns to 2, and then this will print out 2, as you can see right there. Okay, so you've learned that variables are used to keep track of data. You've learned about different types of data you can use. Before we move on, I want to mention that variables actually have a data type. So when you declare var player score equals 0, because 0 is an integer, it is inferred that player score is an integer type variable. That means that if you try to assign a piece of text, also known as a string, right, to player score, it's going to give you an error. Cannot assign value of type string to int. Likewise, say we have a variable named name and we assign player to it. If you try to update name and you try to assign it a number, you're going to get the same error. Cannot assign the value of type int, because 90 is an int, to type string. Name is of data type string. Sometimes what you'll see is that these variable declarations explicitly say the data type. So how you can do that is just a longer hand form. You write var variable name colon and then the data type. So here it's completing it for me. And we have int. So this variable declaration is saying declare a new variable with the name player score with the data type int and then assign 0 as its initial value. Same thing goes for here, colon string. So writing it this way is just a little more clear. For someone reading the code, you can choose to do it this way, but oftentimes we just leave this explicit data type out because whatever type of data you assign to it initially, that's going to be the type of variable that it is. And the last thing I want to introduce to you that is pretty much a variable with one special caveat. This is called a constant. It's basically a variable that cannot be changed. So for example, this variable called name, if I change this keyword from var to let, this is now a constant. It's not called a variable anymore, it's called a constant. And what that means is that it still works the same way as a variable in that it keeps track of data. So I can print name, and what that's going to do is print out player, as you can see. But if I try to update that, let's say I say name equals Chris, it's not going to let me do that. Cannot assign value to, because name is a let constant. Why would you want to use a constant over a variable? Because some things you know will not change. Like let's say in our war card game, we only want to play 12 rounds. You might say let rounds equals 12. It's just a number that you want to use. You don't need it to change. It's always going to be 12. So you use a constant for that, and you can guarantee that it won't get overwritten by another number. But whereas things that you do need to be dynamic and it does need to be updated, you are going to be using a variable instead. And so that's pretty much your first lesson for Swift coding, okay? Different data types, right? Useful ones, common ones include string, int, double and Boolean. You've seen variable declarations. You've seen assigning and reassigning data into variables. And you've seen constants as well. And lastly, you've also learned that variables have a specific data type. It's just that most of the time we don't write out the data type of the variable. Instead, it is inferred from the data that we assign to it. All right, so today you learned about variables, constants, and how to declare them, and also how to assign data to them. Now, this knowledge is kind of abstract right now, but how it applies to the word card game is if you think about us playing that game, we're going to need to keep track of some data, correct? For example, the scores, for example, which cards to show. So that is how variables and constants are going to be used. And we are building our way up to the point where we can hook up that deal button to perform all of the functions of the app. So have a little patience. You are making great progress. I also prepared a set of notes to help you as you are learning the Swift code for these next few lessons, especially helpful for someone who is new. If you want to review that, you can download these notes in the description below. There's a link. Again, it leads to an email landing page. Enter in your email, you get sent a link to the notes, which you can then download and print out. You'll also get added to our weekly newsletter where I share tips and exclusive tutorials for newsletter subscribers. So I hope to see you there. I hope it's a value add on your learning journey, and I hope that you have been having fun so far learning with me. All right, I'll see you in the next lesson.